I want to talk to you about Nike's Vomero Premium, but before I do, story time. When it comes to race day shoes, Nike's always been Nike. Streak Fly, Vaporfly, and of course, the Alpha Fly. When it comes to race day shoes, Nike is still Nike. In that daily trainer space though, the other brands kind of took their edge a little bit. So when the Vomero line got announced, I got excited. I really did. The Vomero 18, great all-rounder. The replacement of what I think is the Invincible 3 for me is the Vomero Plus. And of course, the new one we need to talk about. This is Nike's Vomero Premium, and I want to talk to you about it. Before I do, I want to do the disclosures. This part's important. You see, this pair of shoes has been sent to me directly by Nike for review as well as for training ahead of Chicago Marathon. Because of that, some people might think, oh, Aubrey, you're all just gonna be nice because Nike is sending you the shoes. You just want to be all nice to them so they can keep sending you shoes and all that. Now, not over here, not over here. I simply give you my honest opinion and my felt experience. So let's start here. Let me start with the two things that I think people will find challenging, okay? Number one is the price. 210 pounds and I think $220, okay? The second thing is the weight of this shoe. Now, I want to talk to you and challenge your thinking because it's so easy for reviewers to just say, oh, it's heavy, or to say, oh, it's... Now, the third thing, I know I say two, but the third thing I want to talk about is the instability that you might experience if you're not used to running in a shoe like this. Again, it's not right to just default to these things. You have to look at the shoe in context. So let's start here. Puma's Magmax, Brooks Glycerin Max. Both of these are a 9.5 UK. Let's talk about their weight. This is 47 millimeters of stack height. And it weighed in at 330 grams. It's got 47 millimeters of stack height. This is 45 millimeters of stack height and it weighed in at 340 grams. So, when a shoe has 55 millimeters of stack height, the shortest part of this shoe is the tallest part of the Glycerin Max, and it weighed in at 360. It feels unfair to just default say, oh, it's a heavy shoe. To me, that's unfair. However, at the end of the day, that's the weight. If you're running a marathon, whatever long distance, at the latter section of your run, you're gonna feel that weight, and I get it, but not necessarily with this shoe. The way the ZoomX and the AirPods perform in this shoe, I wanna argue with you that it might not necessarily be just a number that is heavy. We have to be very careful in saying that this is heavy. I ran a half marathon just this weekend gone in this shoe. I'm training for Chicago Marathon and I told myself I'm not running any slower than 6 minute per K pace. I held it, full half marathon at 5:39 per K pace in this shoe. It performed wonderfully. In terms of the price, I have to agree. You got 135 versus 155 pounds, and these are reasonable prices considering how good these shoes are. So when the Vomero Plus then rocks up at 210 pounds, it's a lot of money. That bit I get. Let's talk about the stability bit. I've seen a lot of reviews talking about the instability of the shoe. That is not a function of the shoe in terms of it being unstable. It's a function of its stack height. 55 millimeters, 45, that is gonna come with a learning curve. Now for me, for the type of pace that I did, I told you I did a half marathon, an average of 5:39 per K pace. I didn't find it to be unstable. I find that to be a wide enough platform for my body. I find that even in cornering, it wasn't a windy course or anything like that. I just think it does what it needs to do for this stack height. However, if you're used to running in a shoe like this, don't be surprised that you then find this unstable. Now me, I'm used to max cushion shoes. These are just my kind of shoes. These are shoes that I love running in, simply because of my build, the kind of pace I run, and the experience I like to have in running shoes. So I don't just want to go to saying it's unstable simply because of how tall it is. My preference of running shoes is that. I don't like the minimalistic type of shoes. I just don't. So I don't find it unstable because that's what I've sort of grown accustomed to. But a lesser stack height shoe absolutely will be more stable. With that out the way, the 3 things that you need to know, we've already touched on some of those. So 360 grams in a UK 9.5. 220 pounds. In terms of the stack height, Nike conveniently labels these. So at the heel, it's 55.5, at the forefoot, 45.5, giving you that 10 millimeter drop. I'm just gonna say 55.45. I know you can round it up. All right, let's discuss the shoe. I wanna talk about how I tested it. I've got just under 50K. I did a half marathon, so that's your 21, and then did a 10K run. As soon as I got the shoe, I was super excited, and then did a few recovery easy runs. But one of the runs that I did was 12K in just trying to test out the different paces that it does. The most significant run that I did in this shoe is my half marathon event at the weekend, and I loved it. All right, let's break the shoe down, starting from the top, working our way down. You're not gonna find a shoe more padded, more plush than this. From the heel, as you could see, at the back here, it's a lot of structure. That has a lot of structure, but not only that, it's a lot of padding. Now, depending on where you run, I've seen some people say it actually runs warm. I'm getting it at a very good time here. I can't simulate hot weather, so I'm not gonna talk about how warm it runs, but I can see what people are saying. What I can tell you though is, I love the padding in the shoe. The tongue, the heel, all around that. The rest of it is not as padded, but what you're gonna feel in terms of the heel, the structure, the padding, I didn't have any heel slip. It just packs you in, it just holds you well. And I like that. Okay, let's talk about the tongue, gusset in action. It's fully gusseted inside there, it's attached. The highlight for me for this tongue is this padding. I don't expect it to have that slick, thin tongue. It shouldn't. I want it to have this padding. It's a daily trainer, it's a max cushion shoe, and I want it to be as plush as that. So this tongue won't give you lace bite. Absolutely will not. Like I said though, watch out if you're running in the hotter climates, absolutely you might run warm. But where I am, I've got nothing to complain about. Right, let's talk about the laces. Here, I'm gonna have to tell you, I stopped twice in my half marathon to do the laces on this side. Whilst I like the look of the laces, I like the feel of the laces, they're not as gripped as those kind of ribbed edge ones. And trust me, I did the laces right. The one thing I would say is that maybe Nike look at updating the laces or changing them to the other ones. I don't know. I didn't have any problems with the Vomero 18, the Plus. There is a texture to these particular laces that I had problems with. So that's one thing I should tell you. In terms of the eyelet, the lacing system, no complaints there. Well done, Nike. All right, bang, let's talk about the upper. It's an engineered mesh. I do like the detailing here. When they say it's premium, by looking at it, you can tell it's premium. It's built well, it's designed well. There are some aesthetic things in here. There is actually protruding detail, like to the touch, you can feel they've been very intentional with how they've put this shoe together. Now, if you're a basketball fan, there was a Scottie Pippen shoe, the up-tempos that had the Nike Air. You will see that detail there, Air. I like that. All across, but you have to look, if you just look at it, especially white on white, you're not gonna see that. But if you look, and then there is detail inside that lettering, it's just a nice touch all the way across. Nike has a way, it's not subtle, but it is, of hiding Nike detailing. Like you can see a tiny swoosh over there. You can see tiny details all around. Aesthetically, Nike did their thing on this one. In terms of performance, absolutely. Is it true to size? I wear a 9.5 UK, and for me, in terms of the daily trainer, this is exactly how I want it to fit. I'm excited to now get to the midsole because to me, this is the heart of this shoe. 55 millimeters of stack height, and they didn't play. Now, it's got that ZoomX. Now, we love ZoomX. Now, it's important to highlight this. The Vomero 18 did have that ZoomX, but it's coupled with ReactX. Now, ReactX is the more sustainable, it's a bit of a firmer material, and I liked it. They did away with the ReactX when they gave us the Vomero Plus, and I love this shoe Because for me, in terms of cushioning, in terms of replacing that Invincible 3 feel, it did perfectly. And I thought, my goodness, this here is the shoe. Until I experienced this. Now, I know I'm excitable. I know it. I know I'm excitable. I get super excited and sometimes come across exaggeratedly so. But I have to tell you, until you try it, don't say I'm exaggerating. The midsole in this shoe, these air units, the stack height, I'm not even gonna say anything. My Max cushion shoes that I owned before, none of them do cushioning like this. Listen, put simply, this is the most comfortable cushioned running shoe I own right now. I've shown you the other Max stack shoes. I've got the Neo Vista 2, I've got the Glycerin Max, the Magmax. What those 3 shoes do better than this shoe is the performance. If you're doing that sort of long run with some pace in it, those shoes perform really well. What this shoe does better than those, in my opinion, is that comfort factor. That's all. Only downside is it's much more expensive than any of those shoes. So that's the only downside. But when we're looking at this midsole, just the midsole alone, easily the most comfortable running shoe I own right now. All right, let's wrap up with the outsole. Full coverage, Nike waffle coverage. You're gonna see the same, boom, part in the Vomero 18, only on the outer edges. It went all out in the Vomero Plus, and here it's fully covered, fully covering all of that. One thing that maybe is a question, I'm not too sure if this Air Zoom unit here and here, I don't know if that's been protected by anything, but if that is the Air unit, there's a possible chance you could pop that. Hopefully that gives you an overview, a good review of the Nike Vomero Premium, and I will be back with another video that then talks about the comparison between these 3. I'll see you in a bit.